Good evening, everyone. It's your Evermore post-match podcast. We've just come off watching Spurs wipe their arse with Newcastle United and batter us 5-1. I'm Chris. I'm joined by the PK blinder himself, Paul. Paul, that was utterly shite, mate, wasn't it?
Absolutely shit. Not unexpected, just utterly shit. We needed to be at our best today to get anything, and we were anything but. Probably the worst performance I've seen from us for probably two or 3 months, I think. Poor.
Interesting debate, though, wasn't it? Because I think we were talking in the chat with some of the lads, and I think I said that's the worst we've played under Eddie Howe. And somebody said Leicester was worse. This was when it was 4-1, and I said there's still time. And then it went to 5-1. It could have probably been 6 or 7, to be fair. I mean, we were. It's weird. A game of two halves, wasn't it, mate? Because in the first half we kind of hung on, but the second half we were just completely null and void, weren't we? It was so easy for Spurs to break through us, mate, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, defensively, we were sound first half. Obviously, I saw the stat after about 25 minutes. I think they had 80% possession to our 20, which was very similar to the Chelsea game, but we defended resolutely first half. We nicked that goal, let's be honest. And then with 2-3 minutes to go, I think we held the lead for 3 minutes. So I think they scored 42nd, 43rd minute. You've got to get a half time, haven't you? 1-0 up, and it could be a different ball game. But second half, we just allowed the world-class players that they've got just to run riot and run amok. We gave them too much space. We were a little bit too aggressive going forward, and they just picked us off like we know Spurs can.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Just a reminder of the starting lineup. We'll just pull that up if anyone didn't get a chance to see it. So there was a few changes coming in. Obviously, Bruno Guimaraes was dropped. Shelvey was back in. So we had Shelvey, Willock, and Joe Linton in that midfield. It's a maximum start. I think you said it was his first start in 8 games, and Javi Minkio came back in. And thankfully, Dubravka and Shaw were over the kind of injuries, mate. But I mean, looking at that team, I think you called it on Evermore on Wednesday, mate, didn't you? That it was key that we did not allow Spurs to have time on the ball to hit us on the break. And that just didn't happen, did it, mate? Eddie Howe mustn't have watched Evermore on Wednesday, mate. Must have been able to get him to Dubai.
He needs. They must have been back by then, were they not? He must have. He should have sent a scout on, shouldn't he? Another look. I think that we just gave them too much space the second half. I thought the midfield 3 were pedestrian. I think I understand why he left. He didn't drop Bruno, why he left him out. He'd been across in Brazil for a couple of games and scored, got an assist, I think, didn't he, in the second game. But then Chris Wood played 4 games in 8 days or 9 days for New Zealand. Okay, it's against much worse competition, but he's travelled halfway around the world. I guess the difference is there were some options to swap Bruno out, whereas your best pal Dwight Gale was never going to start. What'd you call him?
Shite snail. I called him. I mean, I can't believe, when Newcastle United, the richest club in the world, we spent £90 million on the transfer market, and we've still got Dwight Gale, the shite snail, as the backup striker on the bench. I mean, that doesn't fill you full of confidence when you're getting absolutely hosed by a team that, let's be honest, they're either good or they're shit, aren't they? They're very Spursy. That was the Spurs. Yeah, that was the Spurs that beat Man City that done us today. But I don't even think they had to be at their best, mate, because as you rightly said, you've got players in their midfield in Bentancur and Højbjerg that they're going to press the likes of Shelvey, Willock. I mean, Joe Linton. I mean, I know you mentioned Joe Linton before. Come on, mate. He was really poor today, I thought, wasn't he? Just didn't look like the Joe Linton that we've all been raving about.
No, I mean, he's probably been our best player this season. Certainly been our most improved player this season. But he barely got a touch of the ball today, unfortunately. Willock, if he buried that chance first off, and it was an unbelievable block challenge by Romero, to be honest. Yeah. And I think who was the co-commentator? Was it Carragher today?
It was Carragher. God, my God, he wasn't half a big fan of Romero, was he? To be fair, I think he had Romero posters on his wall. I think, mate, the way he was talking about him.
He called it Romero, didn't he? He said Emerson Royale is basically shit, and I know he scored right from a centre forward position. You don't see our fullbacks doing that, but he called Emerson Royale a shit, and he just said Romero is. I think he just said he is some player. Something like that, and he's right. He's a very good centre half. But when you've got nothing up front, it's very difficult. You've got to play to your best and hope to nick something like we did with Shaw, and we just didn't. We just didn't sit in until half time, and then just second half they ran riot. There's not a lot you can do about it. We were disorganised. We were pushing forward, and then bam, they just pick you off.
They do.
Son and Kane, and with Kulusevski, they're just 3 top footballers.
They are. I mean, we just don't have that kind of quality, do we? I mean, our best player, obviously on his day is St. Maximin when he turns up. I mean, I don't want to go in too hard on St. Maximin. I think we were talking to Mark before we came on, our resident stat man, and he said he lost the ball 21 times, but he does lose the ball that kind of length of time anyway because he's always running and committing players, so he's always going to lose the ball. But I think you called it earlier on, mate. He had the beating of Emerson Royale. You had him on toast, but he didn't go for that kind of killer run at him like he used to do. He's done it fullbacks, because I even said this guy's going to get a red card here. I don't know whether that was just good defensive cover by Spurs or whether just St. Maximin didn't go for the killer edge, mate. What was your take on that?
I don't know. I think that when we're not playing very well, he doesn't tend to play very well. You very rarely come off a defeat and say our best player was St. Maximin. He usually, the worse we're playing, the harder he tries, and the harder he tries, the worse he is. His natural ability is incredible. He's the only player we've got that can get you off your seat. And he's a Ben Arthur kind of, wow, how exciting is this dude? But when we're playing poorly, he just tries too hard. He knows that the players around him are not good enough. And he tries to beat too many players, and he runs down dark alleys or cul-de-sacs, so to speak. And he's very frustrating. But the whole talk of selling him for 50 million in the summer, why would you? We don't need the money. Why would you sell him?
Well, we'll get into that, I think, with you and the boys on Wednesday, mate. We're going to have a look at that in a bit more detail. But it's interesting. I mean, it's probably a bit of a mixture, I think, of obviously him having one of his off days, but also it was good defensive kind of covered by Romero, I think, and Ben Davies, etc. They all kind of went across and they kind of covered and they protected Royale, who was clearly struggling. I don't think he's as shit as Carragher was trying to say he is, but
probably
I think
not.
He's not as good. He's not as good as Romero, obviously. But it was just disappointing. I think that. I mean, we spoke about earlier on. You hit the nail on the head about Chris Wood traveling, the other side of the world and everything else. But I mean, he's not a great striker anyway. And I was looking at him at one point.
You're being kind.
I'm being very kind. Yeah. One point he was so deep, he almost looked like he was in between left back and left wing. I think it was either Maxi and Willock that were further forward, and this was at the time when I think we were 1-1, and you were thinking we just need the centre forward to be a focal point to get on the ball, bring it down a bit. Allow other people to kind of come alongside and make those runs, whether it be Target, Manquillo, whether it be St. Max, Fraser, and he was right back. And I thought, we've got no focal point here. So I don't understand what he was trying to do, mate.
I don't know. I mean, he's not good enough to play a Harry Kane role. Harry Kane will drop into midfield, pick the ball up, and then you've got Son and Kulusevski and Højbjerg and Bentancur driving forward. They're world-class footballers. We're not. We're just a bit shit. We weren't on a great run, but we're just a bit shit. Have we really beaten anybody this season? Not really. You know what? It's let's limp. 3 home games in a row now. If we can get 4 points out of 9, I'm expecting to get more than that. If we can get 4 points out of 9, then we're safe, right? That's all that really matters. Today's game for me, I never expected us to get anything. I know Wednesday night, both Dan and James thought we'd get a draw.
Me too.
I just said no chance. I just thought no way. No way we're getting anything. We were just poor and ripped apart by world-class footballers. You just got to take it on the chin sometimes. It was the lack of discipline, I think, at the back that caught us out second half. So
even Dan Burn was a little bit chaotic, wasn't he? He's normally been so cool and calm, and in the second half, even he was a little bit desperate, coming out of position a couple of times. And
he was,
yeah. I don't know whether that's just because we were getting peppered so much or whatever it was, So
he got booked fairly early on in the second half for clattering Kane, didn't he? And it was fairly clever. There you go.
Absolutely. We've got a comment coming in there from our stat man, Mark. You're totally right, Mark. I mean, the fact that we're 9 points clear, I think, after the day was absolutely crucial. We're live on YouTube tonight, guys. Please jump in the comments. Let us know what you thought of today's game. Who you thought was absolutely shite, who you thought, tried the best. But, obviously, if you like this kind of thing as well, please remember to like and subscribe. We're looking to smash through the 200 subscriber mark. I think we're on about 168 at the minute. So we had a couple of more subs from Wednesday. So we really appreciate that. Please jump on and subscribe and help us get to the 200 mark. But just talking about that, PK, who for you was the worst player? And then when you get beat 5-1, the list is long. But who was the worst player for you today? Who disappointed you the most?
Oh God, different. You know what? there are players on that pitch I barely saw touch the ball. I don't think Ryan Fraser barely got a touch. Willock had to score that one, but I know he gave the ball away quite a few times. And again, he was run past so much. So Maximum kept losing the ball. Joe Linton was anonymous again. Shelvey, probably Shelvey for me. And you know, I've seen a stat saying we haven't won a game this season without Shelvey playing, which is an interesting stat.
It's very interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Is it coincidence? Because I think he runs through treacle. His legs have, I mean, he's never really had legs. Legs have gone. But, you know, Eddie Howe knows what he's doing, and I'll always trust him. And I understand why he probably didn't select Bruno today, because, you know, with 3 home games coming up, I've no doubt he'll start, stays fit, he'll start those 3 games, 100%. But who drops out? Probably Shelvey. Even if you haven't won a game with him, he's just, you know, when you've got legs against you in midfield, he's bloody hopeless because he can't track back because he just hasn't got the legs. So Shelvey for me, I thought he was cack.
Yeah, in a nutshell. It's interesting that I know you said he runs through treacle. I saw a great comment once upon a time where I think he said Shelvey looks like he's playing in his jeans, which was the best
I've
thing
seen that.
I've ever.
Yeah.
I've seen that a few times. But
yeah, I mean, he's immobile, so you know. He's immobile, and when you're playing against a disciplined team, and Spurs can be Spursy at the back, but when you and you know, they've conceded quite a lot of goals this season, Spurs. But you know, Shelvey can ping great passes to wide men. That's what he's good at. Create the space when he's got time in that almost quarterback role. World-class players don't give him the time that he needs, and then he just makes too many mistakes and then gets run past. So for me, he just isn't good enough, and I think he was our worst player today.
We need an upgrade on him, there's no doubt about that. I mean, you know, Bruno Guimaraes was supposed to be that player, really, wasn't he? He was going to be the one who come in and did the Shelvey role. But I think that because Willock was so kind of off form, but would spend 20-odd million quid on him, and there is a player in there. And then, you know, Eddie Howe's worked on him, got him back to a bit of form. Joe Linton did this miraculous, you know, Lazarus renaissance from a shit striker to a midfield general. So it kind of gave Eddie Howe a bit of a problem, didn't it, really? Like, oh, shit, you know, I've got this 40 million quid midfielder. What do I do, you know? So...
And, you know, when you're winning games, we've seen Eddie Howe doesn't like to change a winning side much. So Bruno just had to bide his time. I get that. I think it's good management. You know, having said that, if you're Kevin Keegan signing Bruno back in 96, 97, whenever it was, when he signed Tino, 95 maybe, Tino came off the plane and sat on the bench and came on and set up the winner for Steve Watson, I think, at Middlesbrough.
I remember that little Cruyff turn, that cheeky Cruyff turn. I remember that very well against Middlesbrough.
I mean, football's a bit of a different game now, and I think he's managed Bruno really well. But now's the time to get him in and get him in every game because he's potentially going to be a world-class midfielder. Even when he come on,
I remember he came on with Murphy, and it shows you the night and day difference between a quality of player that we need to get moving forward to the player that we've had. Because he got the ball and he looked up straight away, and Murphy kind of hesitated a little bit, and then he was looking at Murphy as if, well, go on then. And then Murphy went and he slipped the through ball to Murphy, but because Murphy hesitated, he allowed the fullback from Spurs to get over in a position. You're thinking, no, Murphy, you should have been on your bike straight away so Bruno can find that pass. This is where the upgrades need to happen. I mean, as Mark rightly said in the comments, the 9-point gap should hopefully prevent us from getting sucked in. As you said as well, PK, get another 4 points, 4 to 6 points on the board. We're going to stay up, and then we can start to rebuild. I've seen a lot of people talk about, Dwight Gale and all this stuff, and Matt Ritchie. These guys are done. Even Shelvey, they're the past, they're finished.
They're all done.
We need to upgrade on those players massively, mate, because a game like that is a reality check, isn't it? A big reality check.
I think this summer there'll be an awful lot of players. Even if you can't sell them, they'll have their contracts paid up. It's not like we're short of a bob or two. I think Gale's got 2 years. He's signing a 3-year deal in the summer under Bruce and Ashley.
I'd love to be his agent, mate. Christ almighty, he must be laughing.
I just don't get it. The trouble is, he's probably on 40-ish grand a week. Championship clubs will not just won't pay that, maybe haven't seen Everton today. Maybe if they go down, they might want someone like Dwight Gale. I don't know. But nobody's going to pay him that kind of money. They'll just have to pay his contract up. You'll probably keep the likes of Shelvey. Murphy, Newcastle fan, I know it shouldn't really matter. You've got to be a bit more ruthless. He's got loads of ability, but he's just a little bit thick.
Got no brains. Yeah, he's like Almiron, isn't he? The pair of them have got energy for days, but zero brain. Zero brain.
Yeah.
You don't know what to do with football.
I think there'll be a big clear out in the summer, and I think we'll get a shot of 7 or 8 of those in and around the first team squad, and we'll replace them with significantly better. Forget about what Luke Edwards tells you at this, 60 million in the summer. That's garbage. We will go. We've said on Wednesday. I'll say it again. We'll go big. And I think today, if nothing else, today's perhaps a little bit of a wake up call for us. We're actually not very good. Yeah, we played well against Chelsea. We had an okay first half against Everton. We're just not really very good. We're a bit shit. And we need those upgrades. We'll be safe, but we just need those upgrades in the summer. Summer will be fun.
Definitely. I think the summer will definitely be fun. But I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, the next few games we've got coming up. Obviously, we've got 2 home games, or 3 home games. Beg your pardon. On the spin, we've got Wolves, Leicester, and Palace. It's St James's Park with a crowd behind us. With a few more players coming back from injury. I know there's been some positive talk about Trippier. Wilson is letting out some teasers that he's not too far away. You put Callum Wilson in that side, even off the bench, that's a completely different ball game. Finding passes from likes of Gomes and even Shelby, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think that would have made any difference today, but it certainly would have made. We would have won that game at Everton had Wilson been on the pitch.
Oh, 100%. I 100% agree with that, man.
We wouldn't have got anything today had Trippier been on the pitch, because the gulf in class between the two 11s or 14s or 15s, or even say 14s, was just too big. But when you're talking about a Wolves at home without Neves and without Raul coming up on Friday night under the lights, which is going to be unreal, a few beers. It's going to be.
Should get you to do a live pod, shouldn't we? From there, you're absolutely pissed out your brain.
Can't get anything in the ground, man. No internet in the ground.
Some people seem to get a signal. I don't know how they do it, unless they record and go outside and post or something.
I can't get anything. I'm on
5G and I can't get sweet FA in the ground, mate. So.
Yeah, you got nothing, man. You get nothing. So, 3 home games, we get 4 points, and I'm all right. Today, I'm not as, been on the thread today. There's a lot of doom and gloom on there. We're not good enough and shit, blah, blah, blah. Look, it's Tottenham away. They're going for 4th place. Let's be realistic. They're going for 4th place in the league. Their form's improved significantly in the last couple of months. And that is the Spurs of old, isn't it? They don't. First half, they had to bring the ball onto us constantly. That's not their game. They like to try and soak it up as best as they can, and then absolutely hammer you on the break. And that's what they did in the second half. And as soon as we went 2-1 down, we had to push out, and there was inevitably going to be more goals. Simple as that. It is what it is.
We played to their strengths, didn't we? Really, we played to exactly what they wanted.
We did
exactly what you said on Wednesday night, mate. But you're right. I mean, we're probably caught them at a bad time. If we had them a couple of months ago, where Kane was a bit off and Son was a bit anonymous, potentially we could have nicked something from the game. But it is a big reality check. We've done very well, there's no doubt. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and deride Eddie Howe or have a go about taking the lads to Dubai for a rest and a recharge or whatever. But
it worked. It worked when they went to Saudi at the end of the day.
Exactly.
It either works or it doesn't work. Yeah. Christ, they've only been back for 1 game. If they're going to be, there you go. If you're going to be, you can't judge them after 1 game coming back from Dubai. I've got 3 home games in a row. We need what we need. Today was a bit of a. I don't want to say Brucey bonus game. Certainly was not. Bit of a bonus game in terms of.
It felt like a Brucey game, mate. It felt like a Brucey game.
Yeah, it did. But you know what? Watford got beat, Burnley got beat, Leeds only picked up a point, Brentford should be safe now, fair enough. Yeah. Everton got beat today, Norwich got a point, which is not enough for them. We're fine, 9 points with 8 games to go. It will be a monumental fuck-up if we were to go down from here.
I can't see us getting stuck in there, as you rightly say, mate. Norwich looked dead and buried, Burnley ran out of puff, and Everton as well just looks shocking. They're dropping like a stone, mate. I think we will be okay, and with those fixtures coming up, I'd back us to get some points out of that, enough points out of that to take us comfortably away from this. But you're right. I think that the weird thing is we get very excited as Newcastle fans when we win games and we start, making players better than they actually are in our own minds. This guy's brilliant. Oh, he's a great player. He's this and that, he's everything. But the truth of the matter is, outside probably of about 4 or 5 players in our squad, they're all quite rank average. Eddie Howe's done really well to get a tune out of them, hasn't he? And get to where he is now.
He's absolutely polished most of their turds. Most of them are a turd. You can look at, who'd you keep? I mean, I know it's one for another night, but genuinely, if you've got ambitions that the owners clearly have, you can't do it all overnight. But in 3 years' time, I would be majorly surprised to see anybody other than 2 or 3 of those in that same squad.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't
for
agree
me,
more.
that's the reality.
And that's where you've got to be, I think as fans, it's, the lads have done well for us. And you'll never forget what they've done. You're not saying you're going to ever forget what they've done if Shelby moves on and Richie moves on and Gale moves on. You're not going to forget them. But at this minute in time, I mean, we should have got rid of those guys years ago. If we'd been a proper club ran ambitiously like we should have been under Ashley, those guys wouldn't even be here anyway, mate, would they?
Yeah, 100%. These guys have earned good money out of this club. I'm not saying they don't care and they don't want to play for this football club. I'm sure they do, but you can't keep players forever. Keegan was the most ruthless when it came to just getting rid of players.
Andy
Cole,
what I mean? Primarily Andy Cole, bloody hell.
Alex Ferguson in a more ambitious club, long term. As soon as the players were done, he got rid of them. Yapstam, Kanchelskis, Roy Keane, Paul Ince. He knew when to get rid of those players. Beckham, exactly. He knew when to get rid of them, and when they were causing trouble, which I'm not saying Newcastle players caused trouble, he knew how to kick them out and when to get shot of them. That's what we need to do. We can't live off the fact that we've been a relegation dogfight every season pretty much since we come back up in what, 16, 17. So this is, I think, our 5th season, and there hasn't been a season go by where we've been particularly comfortable. Just you move on. You say thank you very much. They've earned these guys are millionaires. You're not going to feel sorry for them, are you? I'm bloody not. I want to see better footballers, and I want to start challenging for trophies in the next few years. We're not going to do that with the majority of the players that are in our squad at the moment.
Absolutely, mate. Well, it's a great way to close it off, mate. But that's us wrapped up for this post-match podcast. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Remember, please like and subscribe to the Evermore YouTube channel. Also, the Slide Rule Pass YouTube network. There's so many names. I get myself all mixed up, PK at times. But we'd love to have you on board. We're looking for that 200 subscriber mark to get smashed through. Paul will be back with the lads on Wednesday. Sadly, I'm not. I'm getting dragged away to another work thing, mate. So I'm going to be missing again on Wednesday. So one of the boys will be in the chair. Either be James or that. I'll never get my job back at this rate, mate. They'll be kicking us at the bench. I'll be like Dwight.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right. You're the leader.
They'll send me to a West Brom podcast. I'll be there next season, mate. But yeah, until then, let's keep supporting that team of Core United. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And the lads will see you on Wednesday. See you later.
Cheers.